Hey guys, I'm Rohan Jain, founder and CEO of Madverse Music. We are a new age music tech company which enables artists to distribute, promote, and market their music. And I'm an artisan.
Welcome to No Pressure, the podcast where creatives tackle the tough questions about the business, honestly and without the stress. Today's guest is Rohan Jain, founder and CEO of Madverse, a tech-first platform empowering independent musicians to own their masters, distribute globally, and grow on their own terms. Inspired by the challenges indie artists face with traditional labels, Rohan built Madverse to be a one-stop DIY ecosystem, offering tools for distribution, marketing, and monetization, all with complete transparency. With roots in India and learnings from LA, he's helping reshape the future of music, one artist at a time. What do you think your biggest learning has been in trying to be an entrepreneur in the music world?
Isolation is the key. One of the biggest things that US music industry thrives on is collaborations. People should start thinking about collaborating and growth together.
Is IPRS actually being able to administer royalties?
I think in India, one thing that I highly advise artists going forward as well is to start submitting their set list.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way a IPRS can map out the royalty.
Yeah.
IPRS is really trying to be transparent and aggressive in the ecosystem, and kudos to them, they've been trying really hard.
As a manager, we've struggled with multiple times. Is there an accurate number of songs that I should aim to put out in a year?
As an average is 20 to 30 songs we have seen artists putting out, but they're very well planned. When you're actually putting out that much amount of content out there, we have seen artists doing 200 songs also, to be honest, in a year. Like, there's no creativity happening then. It's a factory kind of experience. Hey guys, I'm Rohan Jain, founder and CEO of Madverse Music. We are a new age music tech company which enables artists to distribute, promote, and market their music. And I'm an artisan.
Hi, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Right off the bat, I kind of want to ask you, what brought you towards working in music?
First of all, passion for music, of course, I've always been. I've been a DJ from the age of 13, so music has always been around me. But the business side of it kind of spoke to me around COVID, when I spoke to a friend who's a rapper, and we were discussing about his struggles in the industry at that time, and it kind of piqued my interest into understanding this industry, and I went to Los Angeles to study it more.
Wow, 13.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you still DJ?
No, not professionally, but I like to. But yeah, I hope I will be able to get it back someday.
Okay. This conversation you're referring to with the friend that pushed you towards starting Madverse, can you tell us a little bit about what that conversation looked like? What are these struggles that drove you to it?
We were sitting in COVID, candidly having conversation, and he was supposed to release his album in next 2-3 months. So at that time, the only way for him was to either send random emails, code emails to the A&Rs around the major labels and expecting a reply, which was scarce, of course. And then there were very, just like small distribution platform which were operating that has no further value creation for the artist on that end. So we were having this conversation. He was like, yeah, I have no idea what to do, honestly. If they don't get back to me, then I really want to grow like as an artist. I just don't want to put my music out there. Yeah. So after that conversation, he was like, if you have some time, it's COVID, and if you want to spend some time in helping in market, or if you want to we can co-invest and you can own some of the album, and we can like partner and do it together. So I had no idea. I knew it was great music for sure because I know music, but I had no idea about the business side of it. So I was like, let me go back and research and come back to if I'm capable of doing this. So I went back and I started researching on this, and then I saw, okay, hey, there's a big damn gap in the industry where there are only major labels who are looking for always signing up the next superstar. And then there are distribution platforms which are just a medium to put music out, and they have no further value creation. So I saw a mid-tier gap in that, and I was like, I need to explore this ahead. So
there's a lot to unpack there, but for the purpose of this conversation, we're going to assume that I'm not somebody who works in music. Can you break down for us the different aspects of this that you've talked about a little bit right now? So as an artist, what does it mean to look for distribution? What is A&R? What are these different channels that you've sort of outlined? and then we'll get into the mid-tier gap.
Perfect. So I think let's start from distribution. I think that's the primary journey now. Everyone, like Spotify, with the advent of Spotify, YouTube, and all of those, they have solved for discovery of music. Previously, historically, everyone remembered buying CDs and going to Planet M's to get the access to those music. But now with the advent of Spotify, the discovery got solved. But then born of distribution happened, where the process of putting music onto those streaming platforms got simpler. So there have been like several distribution platforms in the ecosystem for past 20 years, and they've been coming out, I think, every year. And then we speak about anArs. So on that end, so anArs are, I would say, the most creative and knowledge-focused people in the industry who scout for the newer talents and help them develop. So I think they're more focused towards artist development than audience development, which is a marketeer's job. So anArs are the people who develop artists for a longevity of their career.
Okay. With distribution, what is your approach to it, and what should an artist keep in mind when they're looking at finding the right person to distribute to? So for context, let's say I'm an artist, I have a song, I have no idea how to get it onto all the platforms. What are the things to keep in mind when I'm trying to find the right distribution platform?
The basic responsibility of a distributor is to transparently distribute all your music to every streaming platform in the world. So there are more than like 150 streaming platforms globally right now. So they should be working with all of those. And secondly, if they're serious about the data that you're putting in, because most of the companies, they don't take metadata seriously, and they just worry about the final music and the cover art, and sometimes even not that. So I think a distributor who takes metadata very seriously, copyright claims very seriously, are the ones are more future focused and would always take care of the rights holder.
Okay. I've met a lot of people in the last few months especially, and I feel like the word metadata is not fully understood in terms of what that actually means. And can you break that down a little bit of what is it that I actually need to know about ingestion process from a data standpoint? What are the hygiene pointers?
Foremost basic is the legal information about the rights holder. So I'm again repeating rights holder is because artists should understand one thing, that if they're just putting out their artist name, which can be very common among hundreds of artists out there, can lead to a lot of problems when it comes to mapping out royalties for them. So even streaming platforms have gotten very stringent around this. So metadata primarily, they have guidelines about legal information about the writer, producer, performer, lyricist, composer. So we need all of that from the artist, but in the legal side of it, not their artist side of it. Then second part of it comes from the C-sign and the P-sign, which is the copyright and the phonographic rights of the song. So if you're giving up, when you talk about rights ownership, maybe it goes to the label, or it's owned by the artist. So the right owner name has to be across the C-sign and the P-sign. And then going forward, there are more about the rights holder information when you're a collaborator. They are featuring artists. So especially like when songwriter representation is different than the performer representation, right? You don't add the right songwriter representation, then the different kind of royalties are not mapped out to you.
Okay, first and foremost, you've talked a little bit about this. Stupid question, but do I need a lawyer as an artist when I'm getting into this process of it? Because I feel like a lot of people who are starting to create, one of the biggest conversations, I'm sure you've seen this happen just as much, of do I start my agreement before, after, when do I need this information to be in place? How do you address that? And what is the protection that I need, right? Like, do I have to have representation right from the start, or can I do it on my own?
I think for distribution and like the nascent stage of the career, you don't need a lawyer. I think especially like one of the things that I'm very proud of with MadWords that we have done is when you go through our distribution agreement, you will see the top 2 pages that we have complete. Like the headline also says that we know that you are an artist, not a lawyer, and we have actually mentioned the majority of the point that artists should be concerned about in block letters in like big fonts. So I think in the start of the career, you don't need it. Till the time there is no conversation about the exchange of rights, I don't think artists should be going to a lawyer. But I think once there is a conversation about rights, you should definitely get a lawyer. That's like a no-brainer.
Okay, fair enough. I want to get into the revenue side of this a little bit. what are you seeing in terms of revenue generation from a distribution standpoint, right? What does that look like for a young artist? I know that we've all heard the stories of what DSP payouts look like, etc., etc. But fundamentally, is royalties from streaming a viable source of revenue for artists?
I think it's multifold in its way. I think today distribution is not just about putting your music out on streaming platform. It has become a very dynamic business in itself. So as a distributor, you put not only your music on streaming platform, but there are social media platform. There are gaming companies who are also getting into this. There are different kind of content companies, micro sync licensing platform that are coming up. So it's all a distributor job to put you everywhere out there. So I think first of all, choose the right distributor to get that kind of a monthly recurring income if you're planning to do that. And of course, I think you need to put more content out. Like, we can't be putting out 1 or 2 pieces of content and hoping to make a streaming income out of it. I think continuous content delivery is important, and then post, you have to completely focus on amplification of your catalog.
Okay. This brings me to a great question that I feel like as a manager, we've struggled with multiple times, but also I feel like a lot of artists will as well. Is there an accurate number of songs that I should aim to put out in a year? Does such a thing exist? Let's put it like that.
I don't think there is an accurate number to it, but on an average, what I've seen, I can say from my experience in past 18 months of what we have seen as an average is 20 to 30 songs we have seen artists putting out on average. So I think that's a decent amount of
20-30 songs in a year.
20 to 30 songs in a year they've been putting out, but they have but they're very well planned. When you're actually putting out that much amount of content out there, we have seen artists doing 200 songs also, to be honest, in a year. But I think then that's just a different kind of a then there is no there is no creativity happening. Then it's a factory kind of a experience.
Sure.
So I think with creators, I think if you focus on actually planning, and we have seen artists who are planning for 6 months ahead. There are some artists who have already uploaded their songs for February delivery with us.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's the vision that they already have. So they have 1 single planned for December, 2 singles for January, and an album then in February. So that's a well planned circle for that. So that's what we propose. Since you have now I know what my delivery time looks like, I can start planning my campaign. I can start planning who to reach out and do other parts of it.
Let's get into that a little bit. Let's say you're planning your releases, right? What does the average planning process look like for you or for any of the artists you work with, right? What are the essentials of putting together your campaign or any of the aspects that you're considering right now? When I'm planning my release, what should I get into?
One of the most important thing that we have started doing is we've seen a couple of artists of ours also do is 2 months pre-planning, pre-hype planning about what the song's story is going to look like, the creative process around it. Something we don't do a lot in India is the branding side of the overall album and the artist, because you have to understand that the album is an IP in the end, and IP needs branding for a recall value. So I think artists should focus on creating a complete concepts, branding, so that whoever and wherever is listening to the track, from an album art to a merch to a ticketing, everything should match, and there should be a recall value. And that can only happen if you have those 2 to 3 months of pre-hype planning. And then start collecting fan data from different sources. There are so many sources today to start collecting fan data and start engaging with your fans from different social media platforms. People are choosing Twitch, Twitter, so Discord, so many new platforms are out there to engage with fans. So start doing that, and then of course post-release there is another 3 months of work. So we see 6 months of overall planning today around one album or an EP with a couple of artists.
How do you address oversaturation? Because I think one of the things that a lot of people around us are saying, I mean, like you said, if someone's planning 200 songs alone, or even 20-30 songs, and there are, luckily the industry has grown and we have more artists. How do you deal with the idea of distinguishing yourself in a market that is now a lot more crowded than it used to be?
Yeah, I think it's about consistent value, authenticity about what you are building. So once what we have also I know there are 120,000 songs, we know that going out every day, right? So people and artists, we have seen that they have that kind of, how do I cut through the noise and how do I stand out? So I think we've often spoken about this, as a company also, there are thousands of companies today. We are competing in the same pool and everything. So the only way for us to stand out is to completely think about what our artists need in the way that what your fans need, consistently creating values for them, and then being authentic to what you are good at. Like we've seen artists, going across and saying, "Oh, is that working? Let's start doing that. That's working. Let's start doing that." But they have in that process of creating content and building that part of their life, they've forgotten what they've actually started with, what the initial fans wanted out from them.
Sure.
So then I think something to stand out is, of course, like staying true to your art, which a lot of artists have, and then focus on, different, there's so many mediums today to create values for your fans, and I think you should stick to that.
What is your favorite project you've worked on with an artist in terms of striking that right balance between authenticity and appeal, but also just in the way that you've designed this campaign? Do you have one?
Yeah, Nikamma album by Bharg, that was, and by far the best album that we have worked with, and the most exciting project that we have come across. So because the project is true to what Bharg is, like it's funny, it's exciting, it's very witty in its way, and the production is so fresh. So that it has come from a very different perspective, and he has lived a life where he was called Nikamma all his life, and he knows that struggle of, pursuing a musical career in this country and this and that. So that complete album is out of that, the world of nuances and experience in the industry. All the campaigns around that, where we created his own Nikamma Fauj ki channel. So we invited all the people who were called Nikamma in their life to join his channel, right? And that channel started with 5 and then went to 2,500 in the next 3 months.
Damn, okay.
So that's what, so like, I think one very important thing that we also learned by that process, that I learned from my business experience in US when I was managing an artist, that very few artists in India actually, like, they're able to develop fans because of movies and sometimes in different ways, but very few of them actually nurture their fans. I think nurturing requires a very different kind of skill and patience. So Bharg is great at that. So like, he used that channel and he's used his content in a way to nurture his fans, feel them validated, feel them recognized. So I think in those 6 months, especially, like, the campaign is still going on because we believe that album never dies. But I think like, we're coming up with an anniversary also on 23rd November. So, but we are very excited about the way the things panned out and the content creation, like the storytelling, like going around in Oscars, we're just talking about Roshni Ka and we were looking for that piece of it. So like, every bits and piece of it, from ideation to execution, was very interesting.
Okay, amazing. I wanted to get into your journey a little bit more. You were talking about your experience in the US. Did you study there or did you work
so
there?
I went to study music business. I was in Los Angeles in Musician Institute. So I was studying music business, and while I was studying, so I used to like reach out to any artist in my class or whoever was around me. Hey, what are you doing tomorrow? And they were like, okay, I'm distributing flyers at Rodeo Drive tomorrow. I'm like, cool, I'll come with you. So just to see what people respond to, so I was distributing flyers with her the next day on Rodeo Drive just to get an idea of it. Then another friend was performing, so she was like, hey, I don't know, I need a stage manager for my performance next week. I'm like, I've never done that, but cool, I'll come with you. But you get to learn a lot of stuff around that, and we get to understand the struggles of the artist on that end. So I think that was a great learning from me. And the way American artists, they operate, and they actually think of music as their business, not just their, passion. So I think that's a differentiation that I see a lot. So
are there any other major differences you noticed in how the industries operate there and here?
Yeah, I think I can say
Let's
100.
get into that.
I can say 100, but I think the biggest thing that we really need to change here in India, I would say, is that we need to start taking music industry seriously, right?
Amen to that.
It's like, I speak to everyone since I've come back, and I'm like, everyone, like this 140 crore people that we have, everyone listens to music. And still we are just the 17th largest music industry in the world. So I'm always surprised by the numbers.
That's crazy.
I'm always surprised by the numbers that this country generates on that end. And we have such a strong pool of talent. Like, by number, 750,000 artists are there, right? but only 13,000 are registered to IPRS. Why? So those kind of numbers really surprise me, and I think that is only because, first, of course, I understand that the government seriousness towards it has not been, and the way music industry has always operated as like a private sector, not like a public sector. So I think that's changing now. So I'm very excited and very hopeful for the future of Indian music industry. But yeah, I think one thing is now we need to start taking music industry as a business and not just a passion project. So once people start thinking about that, I think from the industry side and from the artist side, things will start changing.
What do you think your biggest learning has been in trying to be an entrepreneur in the music world, other than industry information?
Yeah, it's very funny also, honestly. Like, since I've come and I've speaking to so many people from media, like music media, to music labels and like to publishing, like whoever works in the music industry, they all work in isolations. Like they all have very similar intents. Like I'm glad to see the positive intent and like growth intent out of it. Isolation is the key. I don't know why, but I think one of the biggest thing that US music industry thrives on is collaborations. Like you will see a collaboration across the board, from companies to artists to everyone. But in India, everyone works in isolation, and I know it comes from the low trust economy that we as India are. But I think as an industry, if we have to grow, if we have to do something, that's been one of my biggest challenges, right? If I want to go and like ask for collaboration, if I'm just going to someone and saying, hey, let's collaborate, and I think we can find a growth path together. Because I love collaboration and I love working together. Like low trust part is there, and I think it will take some time, but I think people should start thinking about collaborating and growth together than isolation.
What do you think is the biggest positive change that you've seen in the industry in the few years?
I think people
ना struggle मत करो यार to find positive. It's like नहीं है.
नहीं, ऐसी बात नहीं है. Like there are certain things, but the one thing, of course, that comes to the top of my mind is digitalization of tech in India overall. I think that is one of the key. But I didn't want to say that because that's very obvious and very on that end. But I think in the last 5 years, the way we have seen that piracy started to going down, and people actually going to streaming platform to consume legal music, and that's a positive change. And now people are actually talking about rights. That is also a very, very positive change. Now artists are coming to us and they're asking us, what is it in the contract, right? Do I get to retain my rights? So that's a very positive sign, honestly, because earlier, like what I've heard is that artists were like, "Mujhe paisa de do and do whatever the hell you want to do," and I think that's kind of changing, and it's very great to actually help sit in an office and explain artists, this is the part of the contract.
Yeah, I think it also ties back to what you were saying about the branding aspect, right? Artists have become more conscious of the brands they want to build. So your music is the core of that, essentially. So you want to retain that.
And they also have become mindful of the people they want to work with.
Yeah.
So they are like, okay, like if they see any kind of shadiness, if they see any kind of gray area coming out in the conversation or anything around that, they will kind of take a step back and they're like, okay, let me come back to you. So I think that's a good part.
Yeah.
Till the time they don't see a clear tunnel. And I think that should be the way to go.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a newer generation thing. Okay, you brought up something earlier with regard to IPRS and rights in two separate answers, and I want to bring them together and ask you the question that everyone asks. Is IPRS actually being able to administer royalties the way that we think that they're intending to? Like, what is the model there? Can you get into performance royalties a little bit? What does that look like? Because I know that's one of the larger myths we deal with in the industry.
I'll start with one thing. IPRS revenue was above 600 CR last year. Okay, so that's a huge number. Okay, so they are definitely collecting some kind of royalties. And they're supposed to collect two kinds of. There's not only performance, there's also mechanical parts of it, right? And even we can say performance have its own gray areas of licensing and the way the royalties are mapped out. But I think the mechanicals are pretty straightforward. They're paid out by the streaming platforms.
To interrupt, but do you mind explaining those differences for?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So first of all, let's break down the recording part of the industry and the publishing part of the industry. So the recording part is represented representing artists and performers, and the publishers represent songwriters and composers. So whenever, let's take an example from a streaming platform side of it. Whenever a streaming platform pays out a royalty, they pay out two kinds of royalties. They pays out a streaming royalty, which goes to your distributor. And then there's a mechanical royalty that they pay that goes to your publisher. So you as an artist has to be registered to that publisher to collect that mechanical royalty. Publisher collects two kinds of royalty. There's a performance side of the royalty and there's a mechanical side of the royalty. So performance side of the royalty is collected through the public performances and through, the license that we give out for, like, further breaking it down, like when a DJ plays your song in a shadi, right? That royalty gets collected there on the ground. Officially and ideally, a set list should be submitted by the venue to the IPRS that these are the particular songs that were played, and then that royalty that was generated through the license that was given to that venue should be mapped out to the rights holder song which was played.
Got it. Okay.
So ideally that should be the case, but I think in India, one thing that I highly advise artists going forward as well is to start submitting their set list.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way a IPRS can map out the royalty. Yeah. IPRS is really trying to be transparent and aggressive in the ecosystem, and kudos to them. They've been trying really hard lately, but I think they would need the support of the ecosystem to actually make it happen.
So can't be everywhere.
Exactly. And one of the biggest support that an artist can do to IPRS is upload their set list and register themselves.
Okay.
So once they do that, the royalty gets mapped out and you get a performance royalty. The performance royalty also is broken down into two steps. There is one, the writer shares, and then there is a publisher share. So as per the Indian law, the writer share goes directly to the writer's account. It cannot go through anyone. Yeah. And then the publisher share goes through publisher account. So even if you are not signed to a publisher, you only get the writer's royalty.
Got it.
So yeah.
Thank you for that. Okay, I have another question, but this is around a myth that I've heard, and I would love it if you can clarify this for me. I read this somewhere in, I think Swedish House Mafia's manager, Amy, from back then had released a artist management manual. I don't know if you read this, but super interesting read. She released it unedited during the pandemic, and it was essentially a 101 to artist management. I think, and I may have misunderstood, but I think in the manual somewhere, they've talked about a black hole that comes into streaming royalties. Okay, which essentially says that if you haven't registered with a publisher and you're not claiming certain royalties, there is a big pool of money that rests with DSPs. Spotify, I think for sure, but I'm
not DSPs.
Spotify has this. This is what they said. I'm clarifying. And then that money is distributed top down. Is that true?
In some cases, yes.
Okay.
So sometimes those, not to DSPs don't have that black hole. That is actually towards the publishers and the performing, the collecting societies.
Okay.
Right. So for example, let's take an example of MLC, which is the mechanical licensing collective in US. Right. They have distributed more than $2.3 billion of mechanicals in the last 3 years, and they have $150 million plus black hole. Right. So now and they are a non-profit society, and there's so many things to that. So now if you're not registered as an artist, so it's right there, it's sitting in their black hole. So they have that top-down kind of a policy that goes through.
Got it. So if I am not registered and my money is not collected, essentially it gets distributed to artists who are the bigger artists registered with the publisher, and then it trickles down. So register yourselves. Don't let your money go anywhere else.
Exactly.
Shit, that's crazy. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I really wanted to clarify this.
But that takes time. It's not
like today.
Yeah, it's not today. It has to sit in the black hole for a very long time.
How long, do you know? Resting period for the black hole we've established is roughly 3 years. 3 to 4 years, we can say safely. Okay. So people still have chances to recover their money.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of it.
Okay, cool. Obviously, given that you're also a tech platform, are there other exciting things that you're seeing on the tech forum that are exciting to you as an entrepreneur, as somebody who works in this industry? What are tools that younger artists can actually leverage, because obviously given AI, given so much, things are changing very, very rapidly. What is something else that's come out that is
Yeah,
exciting?
I think 2, 3 things have been lately very exciting for me. One thing is, of course, Symphony OS. It's like an AI marketing tool.
Okay.
So artists are using it to run performance ads across YouTube and Instagram. So without actually having a need of a performance marketeer. And second is, I think everyone has been talking about lately about a lot of direct to fan. So direct to fan is actually popping everywhere, and you see a lot of platforms who are enabling Patreon or OnlyFans kind of a model for musicians, where they would be able to exactly sell their music directly to their fans and sell their merch. And like the idea of it is to actually start owning the data, because I think that's time is also coming. And then third, with the advent of AI, we're seeing a lot of tools coming up which are coming as a complementary to the artist career. I think artists are getting scared about getting replaced, but I think they're just gonna make the journey a little bit better.
Yeah.
And
So you don't think art music will be replaced by AI
no,
music?
I don't think so. Like, I think if you're actually a music fan, you're not just engaging with a lyric or a composition, right? You're engaging with a story, you're engaging with the soul. Like, I may be wrong, honestly, because I'm a music, passionate person, but I think I believe that, like I want to engage with, I want to know the story behind the song, and I want to understand the soul of it to get down to being a real fan of an artist. So I think that you cannot take away from a particular artist.
Okay. Where do you think we're headed as an industry? What are the next 5 years, 10 years look like for the music industry in India, according to you?
I think something that I'm very, very positive and hopeful about is the democratization of artist growth. I think we have seen the democratization of discovery through Spotify, Instagrams, and platforms. I think we're gonna see democratization across artist growth, and it's not gonna be to the few of those. It's gonna be at massive scale, and we're gonna see much more artists on a mid-tier level growing, and that's what our hope as Matverse is also. And I think we're going to see stardom coming out of musicians. I think that is something that I'm very excited to see. We have seen stardom coming out of Bollywood movies and sports and politics, and I think it's high time we see stardom coming out of musicians, where they are like the peak of
And it has happened in the West.
Yeah,
of course.
exactly.
Like, yeah,
The Jay-Z's and the Kanye West and Drake, they are like
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Taylor Swift, right? So they are like the superstars today, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of their involvement in the Hollywood or any movie. So I think that's something that I'm very excited to see.
Do you think are the most essential traits that someone needs to be a member of the creative industry in India today? What does it take?
Something I like always love to say is patience. You need
Lots of patience.
lots of patience and passion for your art to sustain in this industry. But I think also, entertainment industry at large is very diverse in its nature. You cannot have one kind of a rule to it. So you have to be very task on that, multitasker on your hand, and be always open to new tech coming up.
Yeah.
So you cannot be like, oblivion to the fact that new techs are coming, and you cannot just say, I'm going to live my life in a way that I want to live. But I think the way you observe and absorb new tech and use it to your benefit is the way I think you will be able to grow in this industry.
Okay, that's beautiful. And I think that brings us to the end of this conversation.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
As always, it has been a fun chat. It's fun. This is the first time we've actually spoken in depth. But yeah, that was
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. If you enjoyed this conversation, like, share, and subscribe to help us bring you more unfiltered creative stories. Got someone in mind for our next guest? Drop your suggestions in the comments, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode.